Hello friends! Blend modes in Procreate can be confusing to understand and really technical. So rather than combing through the technical details of how they work, we're going to explore how different blend modes can change the way your art looks. In this video, we're going to experiment with inversion blend modes. In a nutshell, blend modes are effects that determine how two or more layers interact. This drawing is going to be my base layer, and I'm going to create a new layer above it, and this will be my blend layer. When you add a blend mode to this top layer, you can manipulate the look of your drawing without making any changes to the base layer, which means that blend modes are a non-destructive way to alter your artwork. At the time of this recording, I'm using Procreate version 5.4, and the blend modes cover 5 basic categories: darken, lighten, contrast, inversion, and color. I will test each category in a separate video, and in this video, we're going to take a look at the inversion category, which includes the blend modes difference, exclusion, subtract, and divide. I'm going to test each of those blend modes to see how it will affect the look of this illustration. Before we continue, I'd love if you'd like, comment, subscribe, and watch till the very end because it really helps the channel. All right, I'm working on the blend layer and I've got the blend mode set to difference. Now I'm going to choose a really dark gray, almost black, and let's see what that does. This pattern is mostly symmetrical, so I'm going to add the blend layer on one half so we can see how the change compares to the original. Okay, so the colors overall are slightly darker, but the biggest change happened to the background color because now it's more of a deep purple compared to the royal blue. This actually kind of reminds me of how a couple of the blend modes in the contrast category work. If you haven't already seen that video, I will link it in the corner and in the description below. All right, so now when I switch to exclusion, it makes everything look a lot more dull and washed out. The greens especially lose all their vibrancy compared to the original color. All right, let's try subtract. Now this one seems to increase the contrast. Much like with the difference blend mode, everything gets a little darker, but the colors don't shift this time. The background is still blue, it's just a much deeper shade of blue rather than turning purple. Okay, now when I switch to divide, the background color changes completely and all the other colors change to white, which gives us a really simplified silhouette effect. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing again, but this time I'm going to use a much lighter color on the blend layer. So I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to switch it to difference, and this time I'm going to choose this light lavender color. Okay, now the colors have changed completely. It's not even close to the original palette. And you're starting to see more of an inverse effect. So on the original, where you have light flowers on a dark background, here the flowers are dark and the background is lighter. Also, instead of having a darker accent color on these flowers, it has switched to the accent color being the lighter of the two colors. Okay, so when I switch to exclusion, the colors shift again, but the color combination isn't quite so intense. Now, when I switch to subtract, the color basically goes to black. Now, there are some tiny white details on the original art, and those show up ever so slightly. I don't even know if you can see it on camera, but it's almost like a teeny tiny glow in the dark look where those white areas are. But otherwise, it's pretty much blacked out. And finally, if I switch to divide, when there's a light color on that blend layer, there's an odd mix of saturation and desaturation happening. So the greens are definitely more saturated. They're very vibrant compared to the original. But the pinks and oranges on the flowers actually looks a bit more dull compared to the original colors. Keep in mind that you'll get different results depending on what colors are in the artwork and what colors you use on the blend layer. Sometimes you'll get more of that inverted photo-negative look, or sometimes it will create a kind of surreal effect with the colors. Now this set of blend modes create a very specific look, So they're probably not as flexible or easy to incorporate into a typical workflow, but they can come in handy for creating stylized effects. I really hope you found this helpful. For more from this blend mode series, there's a link to a playlist in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.